صل على آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المنتجبين سيما بقية الله روحي وأرواح العالمين له الفداء. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا. قال الله الحكيم في محكم كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ربنا وابعث فيهم رسولا منهم يتلو عليهم آياتك ويعلمهم الكتاب والحكمة ويزكيهم إنك أنت العزيز الحكيم. آمنا بالله صدق الله العلي العظيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Dear mu'mineen and mu'minat, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Once again, congratulations on the arrival of the month of mercy. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept us as His guests in this very holy month, and may He make us amongst those who are freed, who are Utaqa'ur Rahman, the ones who are freed from hellfire in this month, insha'Allah. As the narration says, that in the month of Ramadan, on the first day or first night, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will free from hellfire a big number of people. The narration does not say how many, a huge number. And then in the next night it is doubled. And this next night it is also doubled. And it continues getting doubled. And you can imagine, in mathematics this is a great multiplication. Those who are familiar with the square and how quickly it grows after several nights, after 30 nights, double of one would be big enough, let alone double of many. And then the narration says Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the night of Eid, He will double everything that He has already freed. So this is the merciful Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the month of mercy. And in this month He has His shayateen in chains. We are told in the hadith that shayateen are in chains in the month of Ramadan. And in the narration we are told that it is because every shaitan has 7 angels, muwakkaleen. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends them to block them, block the shayateen, or each shaitan would have 7 of the malaika from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so that we are helped. And honestly, in the month of Ramadan you feel like we recite more Quran, we have more salat, more khushu' in our salat, and so on. It is a mercy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. However, we need to make sure we utilize this month and use the opportunity in the best possible way, that when the month is over and the shayateen, the chains and the angels that are basically fighting on our behalf, when they are no longer there and the shaitan wants to take his revenge. You know, our shayateen would want to take revenge for the time that they were not able to do what they want to do, and we were able to do so much that they wouldn't have wanted us to do. They would always try to block us from reciting Quran and doing the good deeds and paying the sadaqat and feeding the poor and needy. In the month of Ramadan, they could not stop us as much, and many people have the tawfiq of doing more of that. We need to make sure we prepare ourselves for after the month of Ramadan. From before the month is over, we have to start And this is the journey of purification, in fact, the journey of tazkiyah. And if you recall, last night I gave a brief introduction of the discussion because, in fact, last year we had a discussion about the concept of zuhd, asceticism, and detachment from dunya and all the things that it lures us through, whether it be the money or other articles that people may be attracted to in dunya, including the opposite gender and so on, all of the things that have been made as a test. And dunya utilizes to lure us and keep us down. أَخْلَدَ إِلَى الْأَرْضِ, to keep us down and feel like we are eternally living here. Often, most of us, this is how we live, in the sense that we only see here. We don't see beyond. So first, before we can get into the concept of tahliya or tajliya, to beautify and to make the mirror so shiny that it reflects the absolute perfection, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, before we can get to that, we need to first start with the concept of takhliya, which is to purify, to detach and purify the heart from any filth, any wrong attachments. Imagine dunya and its belongings and all of the dunyawi concept, imagine them as leeches. You know the leech that sits on the body and sucks your blood. Imagine them as some sort of, I want to give you different examples so that we understand what it means, this dunya. Imagine, and this is وَخَدَعَتْنِ الدُّنْيَا بِغُرُورِهَا, this is what ghurur is. Imagine this dunya for what it really is, that it is like the leech. Imagine those gold coins or the stacks of, now you don't have stacks of gold, you have stacks of dollars, yeah? The $100 bills, the stacks of them. Somebody was commenting on a picture that had stacks of dollars. And it's to many people it may be attractive. When they open a safe in the movies, they show you, they open the safe and you have stacks of $100 bills. It's so attractive. You would want to get a bag and fill up as much as you can. There's a story that they say a man went to found a very, very expensive gem. After a long journey of poverty, he found a very, very expensive gem. He took the gem to the local jeweler. He said, "Please buy it from me." The jeweler said to him, "I can't afford it. You have to go to the main city. This is too expensive. I can't afford it." He was honest. So he goes to the main city and he offers to sell his gem. They say, "No, nobody can afford it. You have to go to the king." So he goes to the king and he offers to sell his gem. When he takes his gem, they tell him, "This is so expensive. What we're going to offer you is we will open the doors of our khaza'in, all of our, in fact, the word used in Arabic for chest is the wardrobe type thing. Okay, something that is locked, khaza'in. So we will open these huge, you've been to banks how they have huge, rooms. It's no longer a small safe, it's a huge thing. They open the room and they say, "You collect as much as you can. You have 3 days to collect whatever you can." Or you may say 3 hours, 3 days, whatever it may be. So he goes in and he finds the most delicious food is there. And there's also the most beautiful jewelry. And there's also the most comfortable bedding and so on. It's khaza'in, imagine it to be the basement of the castle. Okay, all the expensive stuff. So he said, I will first eat a good meal. I haven't had a decent meal in a long, long time. I've never seen food like this. I will first start with this. Then after that, I will have a nap. Then I will get up with so much energy and I'll collect. So then he started. He had his huge meal that he's never had in his life. Then for the first time in his life, he's sleeping on silk and feather. It's the kind of things that he's never imagined in his life. So he had the longest nap of his life. By the time they came, the time was over, they started hitting him, get out, your time is over. Let me collect something, I gave the most expensive gem. You had your time. This is dunya. This is literally dunya. It lures, it deceives. خَدَعَتْنِ الدُّنْيَا بِغُرُورِهَا. It deceives. And when you come to realize that it's over and you need to, or before you realize it's over and you need to do something for your akhirah, for the real life, he was in there dreaming. Perhaps he was dreaming of the amount of gold he's going to take, and he's going to build himself a castle, and he's going to do all the things that he was dreaming of. Perhaps marry 3 more wives. That's often what men do. He was dreaming and dreaming. By the time he woke up, he was kicked out. Over. Your time is over. And this is the story of dunya. We need to first and foremost be able to recognize what it is, detach from it so that we can get onto the stages of tahliyah. We need to empty our hearts from the attachment to everything and anything that is in dunya. And that's why I am giving you examples. Imagine it as a leech, sucking your blood, almost like a companion. Imagine it as a disease, a cancer, a tumor, that is literally feeding off your body and taking your health away, driving you to your death. This is what it is. This is the reality of it. If we allow dunya to take a part in our heart, that heart cannot and will never be able to ascend and contain the bigger things, the beauty, the love of the perfect Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is the meaning of مَا جَعَلَ اللَّهُ لِرَجُلٍ مِّن قَلْبَيْنِ فِي جَوْفِهِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not given 2 hearts to a person within their body. In other words, you cannot love 2 opposites. It doesn't work. You have to choose one. Either you love dunya from dunya, or you love akhirah and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Jannah and all the higher concepts. You have to choose. We have to choose. We cannot have both. And I mentioned this part is in fact a repetition, that often people say, why can't we have both? Often people say, even Quran says, رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. Why can't we have both? Whoever is reading that ayah and understanding that we can have both and love both has not understood the ayah. Because the ayah is not saying, oh Allah, give us in dunya full stop. This was the people before. In the ayah prior to this, it spoke of a people that say, رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا وَمَا لَهُ فِي الْآخِرَةِ مِنْ خَلَاقٍ. He will have no share in akhirah because all he cared is dunya. The next group does not say رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا, but they say رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً. Give us good, hasana, godly. Don't misunderstand hasana for the ornaments of dunya and the luring of dunya and the gold and silver and the castles. This is not the hasana. How could that be hasana? If it is accumulation of wealth, Amirul Mu'mineen says, مَا جُمِعَ مَالٌ إِلَّا مِنْ شُحٍ أَوْ حَرَامٍ. No wealth is accumulated except through stinginess or committing haram. In other words, one cannot, stinginess is not the akhlaq of people of paradise. You see, in the month of Ramadan, we are trying to develop what? Generosity, yes? We're trying to develop generosity. Whoever pays charity in the month of Ramadan, غُفِرَ لَهُ in the hadith. He is forgiven. Why? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to develop the good things. It can never be good to be stingy, can it? It can never be good to have that quality of misery, not giving. That's not godly. That's not hasan. And haram is not hasana either. So how could one accumulate wealth if he is doing good? Therefore it doesn't add up. رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً. So now we come to a point where we recognize dunya and its luring. And we want to ascend. And we want to do tahliyah. We want to beautify. How do we do that? This is a very important question. How do we do that? How do I do tahliyah? First, a question which is very important. I want us to all understand the question and the answer to this question. The question is, do we do that or does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala do it for us? Can I do tahliyah or is it done by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? That's something we need to understand. Which one is it? Is one able to travel towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without the permission, in fact, without the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the guidance from Him? Never. However, at the same time, that help will not come until you take a step. The help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is conditional. It will come once you take a step. That's how He made it. He made it in this way so that لِيَمِيزَ الْخَبِيثَ مِنَ الطَّيِّبِ. How can we then distinguish the good from the evil? If He drags us all to Him, regardless of the initiative coming from us, obviously the very initial level of guidance is from Him. And it is for everyone. Allahu alladhi khalaqa kulla shay'in thumma hada. Everything that He created, He guided. Nothing He created without guiding. Everything is guided. Nonetheless, that extra level of guidance and those steps towards purification, towards tazkiyah, towards the higher levels of nafs. Last night I mentioned Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created nothing but beauty. Nafs mixed with the body, our nafs mixing with the body, God attached to the body, for God itself thought it is the body. Therefore it became more attached to this worldly, the world and the worldly material things, that the belongings of dunya that are luring us. This is the body and the nafs that is not recognizing itself. Man arafa nafsah فَقَدْ عَرَفَ رَبَّهُ. This is the issue. The issue, we don't even know ourselves. Most of us, and I speak for myself, we think this is me. This is the body that I am. And therefore, I am limited in my journey. Why? Because the body has its, we say, when it comes to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I'm not saying that our nafs is in same or similar, but I'm bringing the concept closer. When it comes to him, we say that he is munazzah, subhanallah. He is far from anything that he created. Everything is created by him. And that law of causality, cause and effect, and the fact that he is the musabbib al-asbab is not similar to how we understand things. In the sense that when there is fire, there is heat. So you know that when there is heat, there is fire. So you expect that physical connection. There is no physical connection when it comes to the Creator, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is causing everything, but without a sabab, without a link. It doesn't need the link. He doesn't need to push something to make it move. It is different when it comes to him. And he created our nafs in a manner which is in reality not part of this physical body that we're in. We think this is me, so I'm limited. If we recognize as who we are, then we can ascend. Then we can gain stages and statuses of nearness to him. Al-Qurb. They cannot be earned unless we are able to travel to him spiritually, not physically. A physical journey will not get us to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Our problem, most of us, we think that we have to put a target. My target in this month is to utter with my lips the entire Quran once. This is my target, huh? I put another target. My target in this month is to pray 1,000 rak'ah in the month. All of which is recommended. But that's not the target. That is what we're missing. That is not the target. That is a wasila for a bigger target. The purpose of reciting Quran is to purify. Quran is there as a purification, a method of purification. هُدًى لِلنَّاسِ وَبَيِّنَاتٍ مِّنَ الْهُدَى وَالْفُرْقَانِ. You wonder how? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, I recited an ayah from Surah Al-Baqarah, which earlier we recited in our khatam. Similar concept to the ayah from Surah Al-Jumu'ah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, هُوَ الَّذِي بَعَثَ فِي الْأُمِّيِّينَ رَسُولًا مِّنْهُمْ يَتْلُو عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتِهِ. He is the one who sent in the people of Mecca, al-Qura. He sent to them a messenger from amongst them, reciting to them the ayat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Reciting the ayat. And then, وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ وَيُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةِ. He then purifies them. You see, the ayat are almost a prerequisite, a condition. You need to take that step, and then you get to the higher step. But that is not the ghaya. Reciting the ayat is not the target, is not the goal. The hadaf is beyond that. If we get stuck there, we will not be able to move in that journey. So condition number one for our journey of tazkiyah is to detach from dunya. Easier said than done. Condition number two is to recognize ourselves. Realize who I am. Who am I? Ask yourself that question. رحم الله امرئ أعد لرمسه واستعد لغمسه وعلم من أين وفي أين وإلى أين. Where did I come from? Where am I? Where am I heading to? Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen salawatullah wa salamu alayhi says, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala. We need to understand the connection between Quran and the journey of purification. One of our great mufassirin, in fact, scholars and mufassirin, he puts he puts a very nice analogy between Surah Al-Hadid and Surah Al-Waqi'ah. Proximity-wise, they're close in the Quran. And there is a very beautiful analogy he puts. We know in Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us three categories of people. We have the muqarrabin, we have ashabul yamin, and we have, wal-ayadu billah, ashabul shimal. Three categories of people. Each of those, there is one level of dealing that the Prophet had to deal with in the journey of purification. Because his role is what? His role is tazkiyah. His role is to purify us. It is adhan time. Inshallah, I will continue this point, inshallah, tomorrow night, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us the life and health, inshallah. We ask him to help us purify through the Holy Quran in this holy month of the Quran. We ask him to make us amongst those who listen to what's said and follow what's best. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين. اللهم صل على محمد.
سلام. توكلت على حي الذي